Sadly, I think the 11-year-old AGM battery in my C5 Corvette has reached the end of its useful life, and you heard that correctly. It's an 11-year-old battery, and that's not too shabby. Now it still starts the C5, albeit a little bit slowly, but I wouldn't take it on a 300-mile road trip, spend the night, and then expect it to start the next morning, and that's why I think it's time to replace it. In this video, we'll discuss how not to be fooled by a fairly common C5 Corvette scenario that acts like a bad battery but isn't. I'll show you how to confirm with two simple tests if your battery is in fact in need of replacement. I'll discuss which type of battery is best for your C5 and show you proof to support my claim. I'll tell you the name brand of the AGM battery that I'm replacing that lasted me just over 11 years. I'll touch on Optima batteries and the results of an informal poll that I recently conducted. And finally, I'll talk about a safety device that's now available from our buddy Lyle at C&S Corvettes that you should consider buying if you decide to use the typical lead-acid battery that sometimes likes to leak acid all over your car's computer and main wiring harness. But just thinking isn't good enough, and I need to know for sure because it is not uncommon for good batteries to be replaced, only to find out the battery wasn't the problem. So before going out and just buying a new one, there are a few other things, especially with C5 and C6 Corvettes, that we should rule out first. Number one, if your Corvette is not your daily driver and you don't drive it often enough or far enough, and sometimes it sits perhaps for a few days, over the course of several weeks to a couple of months, the battery can slowly lose its charge. This happens because there is always a parasitic draw on the battery from the computer and perhaps a module or two that are always on at all times, even when the Corvette's parked, kind of like a dripping faucet that just keeps going drip, drip, drip. Then when you start the engine, that takes a fair amount of juice as well. And let's say it's summertime and you've got the air conditioner on at all times, which also takes a ton of juice. It's absolutely possible that in the short trip that you make, the alternator doesn't have a chance to fully recharge your battery. And that can lead even a battery that is like new to lose its charge. So let's walk through an easy test or two that virtually any DIYer can do to confirm whether or not your battery is at the end of its useful life and in need of replacement before jumping the gun and going out and buying a new one.
Toys for life.
Step one, always make sure your battery cables are tightened properly, usually to around 11 pound-feet of torque. And if it's been a while, go ahead and remove both of the cables, clean the mating surfaces properly with a wire brush, and then go ahead and reinstall them and torque them properly. Next, we're going to be testing the battery's voltage with a multimeter, and if you don't have one, don't worry. They're inexpensive, and it is a tool that every DIYer needs to have in their toolbox, and I'll be sure to link a decent one in the description below. If your battery is fully charged, its voltage should be at least the amount shown right over here for the type of battery that you have. If your voltage is below this number, go ahead and put it on an appropriate charger and then charge it till it's fully charged per the charger's instructions. Once the battery is fully charged, go ahead and disconnect the charger and let it sit for about a half an hour so the battery's voltage can settle down after the charging process. Then go ahead and connect a multimeter to it, set it to DC volts, and then set the scale on your multimeter, if it's not auto ranging, to the best fit for reading between 8 and 13 volts. Then hop inside the C5 and with your foot, of course, push and hold the accelerator pedal all the way to the floor and keep it on the floor. This puts the engine in clear flood mode, which makes it so the engine will not start. Then go ahead and crank the engine for 5 seconds while watching the voltage on the multimeter. If your voltage drops to 9.6 volts or below like mine did, your battery is likely shot and needs to be replaced. Now it is possible that this much of a voltage drop could be caused by a bad starter, so I would suggest using a battery load tester in order to increase the accuracy of your diagnosis. Here's how the load test is done. Once again, use your battery charger to bring the battery to a state of full charge, and then disconnect it for about a half an hour to let it settle down. Then go ahead and connect a good old-fashioned battery load tester to your battery and test it per the load tester's instructions. We will be watching the area to the left of 800 on the scale because the battery in my C5 is 775 cold cranking amps, and while I hold the on button on the tester for 10 seconds, it clearly indicates that the battery is weak.
10.
Which confirms the diagnosis we made a few minutes ago with the multimeter. By the way, the battery load tester generates a ton of heat, so make sure you set it in a safe place until it's fully cooled off. If you don't own an automotive battery load tester, I'll include a link to a decent one below. You can pick one up generally for around $70. Or if you prefer, check with your local auto parts store. A lot of them will let you use one for free. Either way, there is no reason not to check an automotive battery with a load tester before you replace it. So based upon those two simple tests, I'm convinced that my battery is at the end of its useful life and I've decided to replace it. But what is the best brand, and more importantly, what is the best type of battery for our C5s? If you've watched my channel before, then you know I am not a fan of the common sealed lead acid maintenance-free type batteries. They can and often do leak, and as you can see here, when they do, they make an expensive mess out of the C5's main wiring harness and computer, both of which reside directly beneath the battery. There are a few different types of batteries you could use, but many folks, including me, have had very good luck with absorbed glass mat batteries, and since this Duracell lasted me over a decade, I decided to buy another one, and better yet, you can get them for a very good price at Sam's Club. If you don't have a membership or a Sam's Club near you, I believe East Penn Manufacturing currently makes this AGM battery for Duracell, and I think they also make an AGM battery that quite possibly has the same internals called Superstart, which you can pick up at your local O'Reilly's Automotive. And now the question I would really like to know the answer to is this brand new Duracell the same quality as this 11-year-old Duracell that I'm replacing? And unfortunately, only time will tell. What about Optima batteries? I did consider purchasing one, and I even went so far as to make a post on my community page asking people about their experiences with them, and I was kind of surprised. Overwhelmingly, as you can see, a lot of the comments are positive. But at the end of the day, I ultimately decided to go with the Duracell simply because of how well the first one treated me. If you decide to go with an AGM battery and you haven't had one before, make sure you get a charger that also has an AGM setting like this one from Schumacher, because there are some differences in the way these batteries like to be charged. I also recommend the Battery Tender Junior, and I've been using this one for about 8 years. I think a good part of the reason that my old Duracell lasted for over 11 years is because, one, I never let it get fully discharged, which is horrible for any battery, by the way. And number two, I've always been really good about putting the Battery Tender Junior on it every winter, or pretty much any time I know the C5 is going to sit for a week or more. Now, if you're watching this video and for whatever reason you decide to go with a regular lead acid battery, or that's what you've got in your car right now, then there's a couple of things I would suggest you do. Number one, A&A Corvettes has recently come out with a product that essentially funnels any acid that might spill from your battery safely through a tube and out the bottom of the car without getting on your computer or wiring harness. So that's worth checking out. And if you don't want to do that, at least every time you check your oil, take a good look and smell to see if there's any signs of battery acid leaking from your battery. And if there is, then you need to take care of it. That's going to do it for this one, guys. If you got any value out of this video, please go ahead and tap that thumbs up so YouTube knows to share it with the Corvette community. If you've got any interesting battery stories, please leave it in the comments below. I'd love to read about it. And most of all, thanks for watching.